This is TWiT.
Canon's been doing this for a long time, but finally a class action lawsuit against the printer manufacturer by David Leecraft. He filed a class action lawsuit on Tuesday alleging deceptive marketing and unjust enrichment by the manufacturer. What is Canon doing? Well, he's got an all-in-one machine, the Pixma MG6320, that will not scan or fax documents if the printer runs out of ink. You have to buy ink before you can scan. It doesn't use ink to scan. It's not printing anything. It's not necessary, but it won't work. And this is, of course, this is what a lot of printer companies do.
You just can't believe they got away with it for so long.
They've been doing this since 2016.
I was just going to say, I can't believe no one's brought a suit until now.
Yeah.
This seems absurd.
Especially lawyers. Like, the thing is that, the only person that makes money on this is lawyers. And so I'm surprised that a firm hasn't gone, wow, this is a really good class action suit. There's a lot of printers out there. I'm going to make 33% of whatever we pull out. It's
a support agent told him, you could damage the printer if you scan without ink. No.
Oh, yeah.
No,
because the pixels, the pixels are connected. They're powered by the ink. You don't know that. You probably wondered when you had all those scans how you ran out of ink.
Yeah.
So you were printing them, and not all the ink, just the blue ink. The blue ink is used for the actual scanning, process. They turn the ink into pixels.
Oh, brilliant!
See, that's.
I bet you some people actually would believe that. Yeah.
People don't question it, right? Like, we just don't question it. We're like, oh, of course I must need ink. So,
but the real reason is, and we know what the reason is these companies sell these inkjet printers for at or below cost for nothing. They're $50.
Expensive. They're more expensive than blood.
Yeah, the ink is. The ink is. And so
yes, exactly.
They're going to make it up with the ink. In fact, sometimes it's cheaper to buy a new printer than buying a set of ink cartridges.
Yeah. Especially if it's a couple years old.
Yeah.
And you can't find the cartridges at your local retailer online.
Well,
they're $50, $60. Just get a free new printer.
Yeah.
We used to, when we were doing lots of events on site, we'd buy printers all the time, like locally, and then we just give them to somebody in the crew. Like, here, have a printer. It's not even worth taking home.
They come in a cereal box. There's nothing. It's nothing. Yeah. It's not worth it.
I remember injecting the ink with the needle and you're re-inject. It was a horrible, I did it, but it was just a horrible experience. It was terrible. I got ink all over.
The companies that do that always try to advertise on our radio show. And I always say, I cannot. But they advertise a lot on tech radio shows, not on podcasts, but because anybody who listens to this show is smarter than trying to do that. But they always want to buy radio shows. They must make a ton of money on these inkjet refills. Yeah, you have to use a syringe.
A syringe, yeah. No,
and is it messy?
It's a full thing. It's very messy. If you're good at it, I'm not good at it. If you're a surgeon, you're probably just fine. But
and the way they get, and by the way, that might be the only way, because a lot of these companies now, if you use a third-party cartridge, just won't work. They have chips in them.
Yes.
And they just won't work at all. So you have to buy first-party ink, and it's very expensive. As you said, more expensive than blood per ounce.
And how often do you really print things at home? So what I always find myself doing is I buy a printer, and the one that I have sitting right next to me here, I've probably had for 5 years. I think I bought ink for it once.
Yes.
I mean, by the time I need to buy it
it's
a second time,
it's all dried up.
This thing is terrible. It's out of date. It won't connect to my iPhone half the time. It doesn't connect to Wi-Fi half the time. I'm just going to toss it and buy a new printer. I just, it baffles me that, we're still here. It baffles me that someone hasn't come up with a better business model. Well, maybe they haven't, because this is such a good, lucrative business model. It's the razor blade model of printers.
Yeah.
Well, I think the funny thing is, so I had someone sent me a UPS label that I had to print out. I couldn't find a printer that worked in my house. So I was like, I don't know. And I just went to UPS. I was like, they said, did you print it out before you got here? I was like, no, I don't know how to do that
can't
anymore.
print.
It's paper. Why would I?
There's just some technologies that will not die. That's one of them. Faxes. That's another one of them.
I don't know how to do that either.
Yeah, they won't die. And companies still act as if, oh, you got a printer, don't you? No.
Well, I think that here's the thing.
Now that everyone's at home, right? There's now I have to print my own little tiny note files, because like I'm not going into the office to have them printed there, and I don't want to have to leave
Honestly,
the house.
I came this close to buying an IBM Selectric typewriter just so I could type on envelopes. It's such a
like
pain.
an actual typewriter.
Yeah, because my handwriting's so bad, and I just anyway, what I ended up buying is a label printer that prints address labels, and that's all I need.
I'm super fortunate to have a great wife. I haven't.
She have good handwriting.
Anything. I haven't mailed anything for decades. Decades. Like I don't. Well, I literally I have no idea.
Like I said on
if they told me it was like.
And
it was $8.
I have Leo stamps that I printed like 5 years ago. They have my picture on them because that's a thing you can do with stamps.com. But they're now they're so long ago that I have to put an additional stamp or two just to pay for the postage. And I have all these Leo stamps because who mails stuff anyway?
I know.
That's just so cute, though. You have little Leo stamps?
Yeah, but you can't do forever Leos, it turns out.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, that's too bad.
Just add a bunch of them. You just have a bunch of Leos.
Just for like 3 Leos worth is what I want to know.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I want to use them up. I'll just put 2 Leos on a letter, and that'll do it.
Like, really, is the cent difference, like, you don't have to be exact. Like, if it's like, whatever.
Right, I can do it over. These are 47-cent stamps. What is postage now, 51? So
just use 2.
Debbie printed me a whole sheet of 4-cent stamps.
It's so cute. Are they
but
also
next
Leo
year,
stamps?
I'll have to have another sheet of 1-cent stamps.
See, I would just take 2 of them. I would just be like, okay.
Yeah, I would just take 2.
Screw it.
I think that you probably can afford the extra few cents.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, you probably
for the 6 things that you mail out a year.
Well, here's the sad thing, and I feel terrible about this. Because I do a radio show, I get a lot of older listeners who write me, and I can tell because it's so like spidery handwriting. Right. Dear Leo, and they write me these long handwritten letters. I mean, it's a very old school thing to do, and it's touching, but they're piling up. I can't. What am I going to do with those? I have to handwrite an answer.
I had a friend who wrote me letters.
You should have, but even just a little tiny thank you and a little Leo picture with
That's
a Leo
why I
stamp.
got the stamps. I was going to do that exactly.
But I would just send a little, like, thank you so much for sending me that. I think that people just want to acknowledge that they have.
There's
like,
somebody
I will say,
I don't think that they need to have a personalized response. I think that they know how busy you are. You're on the air almost 24/7. But just a little photo with a thank you and some whatever Leo stickers or TWiT stickers, and they will be plumb happy. I don't think that anyone expects you to send
Georgia,
a personalized
you're beautiful.
Message.
Thank you. I'll print out a picture of your iris and include that.
Thank you. Here's Georgia's iris.
I don't think they'd be as happy. Yeah, exactly.
You should make it like a little card, like a little like.
I will.
Maybe
I'm gonna.
Maybe a magnet.
What the hell is that?
On their.
He's looking at me.
Eyeball.
Yeah.
An eyeball. Yeah.
On a magnet. Yeah.